Here's something that happens at every major American airport every single day. A traveler, usually over 60, walks up to that TSA security checkpoint feeling completely prepared. They've got their bag packed, their boarding pass is up on their phone, and they did everything they thought they were supposed to do. And then they get pulled aside. Their bag goes through the scanner and the agent stops the belt. Everybody in line behind them is staring. The agent is digging through their carry-on. Their arthritis medication is out on the table for strangers to see. Their CPAP machine is in a separate bin. Their pill organizer is open. And none of this needed to happen. Not a single bit of it. Because every single thing that caused that delay could have been prevented at home. If someone had just taken 20 minutes to explain what TSA is actually scanning for in 2026, today, I'm going to be that person for you. Welcome to the Terminal Traveler, where we give Americans over 60 the honest, plain English travel information that nobody else takes the time to explain. I'm going to walk you through 13 specific things that are inside carry-on bags right now, packed by perfectly well-meaning travelers over 60 that will get those bags flagged every time. Now, before we get into the list, I need you to hear me on something. This video is not about scaring you away from flying. Quite the opposite. If you stay with me all the way to mistake number 13, and I need you to, because it's the one piece of information that almost no senior traveler ever gets, and it might be the single most valuable thing I've put in any video this year. You are going to walk through your next security checkpoint faster, calmer, and more confident than you have in years. We're covering your medications, your medical equipment, your food, your ID, your clothing, and that one free government phone number that could change everything. Before we start the list, I want to give you about 90 seconds of context that makes everything else click, because this is not talked about enough. TSA security scanners don't see your carry-on the way you see it. When that conveyor belt pulls your bag through the X-ray, the agent on the other side of that screen is looking at density, shape, and layering. They are looking for anything that creates a dense, cluttered, difficult-to-read image, because dense and cluttered means something could be hidden inside it. And here's the honest reality. The way travelers over 60 typically pack their carry-on is, statistically, more likely to create those dense, layered, hard-to-read images than any other group of travelers. Why, you might ask? Because travelers over 60 carry more medications, more medical equipment, more supplements and vitamins, more comfort items for long flights, like heating pads, orthopedic supports, or special pillows. When you pack all of that into a carry-on alongside your clothes, your toiletries, and your documents, you get a bag that is genuinely difficult for the scanner to read clearly. The agent presses pause, the belt stops, and suddenly you are the person everyone behind you is sighing at, through absolutely no fault of your own. That stops today. These 13 mistakes are fixable, every single one of them. And fixing them doesn't require you to pack less or give up anything you need. It just requires knowing what the rules actually are. The number one thing that gets travelers over 60 flagged at the TSA checkpoint, and I mean number one by a significant margin, is a weekly pill organizer. I know what you're thinking, and I understand pill organizers are practical. Your doctor might have even suggested using one, and millions of Americans rely on them every day. But here's what nobody in the medical world explains to you, because it's not their area of expertise. When your carry-on goes through the X-ray scanner, a pill organizer full of mixed, unidentified pills is one of the most auspicious-looking items an agent can see. It doesn't read as a medication container on their equipment. It reads as a compartmentalized container full of unidentified substances. That is a flag every time. The fix is completely manageable, and it does not mean you have to abandon your pill organizer. TSA official guidance says that medications in any amount are permitted through security. That rule is actually on your side. But the guidance also says you should keep medications in clearly labeled, original prescription bottles whenever possible. So here is exactly what you do before your next flight. Pack your pill organizer as you normally would, then take your original prescription bottles or print a medication list from your doctor's office and place those in a small, sealed, clear bag along with your organizer. When you reach the checkpoint, before anyone asks you anything, take that bag out of your carry-on and place it in its own bin on the belt, separate from everything else. That one move, proactively removing it, making it visible, tells the agent everything they need to know before they even look at the screen. It says this person knows what they're doing, and that single impression changes how the entire interaction goes. This is the rule that genuinely stuns people when they hear it for the first time. And I am still amazed that it isn't printed on every airline ticket. The standard TSA liquid rule, the 311 rule, says that liquids in your carry-on must be in containers of 3.4 ounces or less, and they all have to fit inside one quart-sized clear plastic bag. Most people know that, But here's what almost nobody knows. That rule does not apply to medically necessary liquids. If you are traveling with liquid medication, insulin, eye drops, saline solution, liquid antibiotics, liquid pain medication, or prescription eye drops, those are exempt from the 3.4-ounce limit. You can carry quantities that exceed that restriction because they are medically necessary. Here is where the mistake happens. You have to declare those liquids separately, and you have to do it proactively. Before you reach the bins, before you start unloading your carry-on, remove all of your liquid medications from your bag, put them in a separate clear bag, not your toiletries bag, a different one. And when you approach the checkpoint, hold those medications up and say to the agent, "I have medically necessary liquids." That's all you need to say. And those medications then get screened separately with a quick visual inspection, rather than being flagged inside your bag as a confusing dense mass that nobody can identify on the screen. This is one of the most valuable habits you can build as a traveler over 60, and it is almost never mentioned in mainstream travel content. That's exactly why this channel exists. And speaking of things most travelers never hear, what I'm about to tell you next got a close friend of mine pulled into a secondary screening room for 45 minutes last spring. Do not let this happen to you. If you travel with a CPAP machine, and a meaningful percentage of Americans over 60 do, this mistake is very likely costing you extra time at the checkpoint on every single trip. The typical approach is to pack the machine in its carrying case, put the case in your carry-on or carry it separately, and send the whole thing through the scanner. The agent on the other side of that screen sees a dense rectangular object with wiring, a motor, and a water reservoir, and the image is almost always ambiguous enough to stop the belt. It happens constantly, at every major airport. Here is the official TSA rule on CPAP machines, and it is genuinely favorable for travelers. CPAP, BiPAP, and APAP machines are classified as medical devices. They do not count toward your carry-on allowance. The airline cannot charge you a bag fee for them, but, and this is the part that matters most practically, the TSA recommends, and, for all functional purposes, requires, that you remove your CPAP from its carrying case and place it in a separate bin on the belt for screening. Just like you remove a laptop from your laptop bag, the tubing, mask, and water container can stay in the case. Just the machine itself needs to be out and flat in its own bin. When you do this, the image on the scanner is completely clear. The agent recognizes it immediately. You are through in seconds instead of minutes. One more thing, before your next trip, type a note on a piece of paper that says CPAP medical device and tape it to the top of the machine. It only takes 2 minutes to make. It is not required by TSA rules, but agents see it, they note it before they even look at the screen, and it speeds up every interaction. That is the kind of insider habit that separates the travelers who sail through checkpoints from the travelers who don't. And if you're finding this valuable, right now, before we go any further, hit that like button below this video. I put out new content every week specifically built for Americans over 60 who want to fly with confidence. And if you're watching this, that's clearly you. It's free, it takes 2 seconds, and I am not going to ask you again until the end of the video. Now, let's keep going. This one is brief, but it is critical, and I want to be very direct with you about it. If you have a pacemaker, a defibrillator, a cochlear implant, a spinal cord stimulator, a deep brain stimulator, a neurostimulator, or any other implanted electronic or metallic medical device, you need to tell the TSA officer before you step into that scanner. Not when they ask. Make sure you do it before, while you're still approaching the checkpoint. The reason is entirely practical. Most major airports now use advanced imaging technology that can detect implanted devices. When you walk through without disclosing, and the scanner flags an anomaly, you are automatically directed to secondary screening. That process involves a physical pat-down, additional questions, and extra time, all of which could have been avoided entirely with 3 words. When you get to the front of the line, before you place a single item in a bin, step toward the nearest officer and say, "I have an implanted pacemaker, or defibrillator, or whatever the device is." That brief disclosure tells the agent to use alternative screening procedures from the start. The interaction is faster, calmer, and more dignified. The same principle applies if you have a hip replacement, a knee replacement, or any orthopedic hardware. Rods, plates, screws, your implant will trigger the scanner. That is not a problem if the agent already knows what they're scanning. It becomes a problem, a longer, more intrusive one, when they don't. Tell them first, every time, without exception. This mistake affects an enormous number of travelers over 60, and I want to give it the full attention it deserves because the nuance here matters. Gel products, including arthritis creams, diclofenac gel, lidocaine gel, menthol pain relief gels, joint support gels, and orthopedic gel pads are classified by TSA as gels, not creams. That classification puts them under the liquid rule. In your carry-on, they must be in containers of 3.4 ounces or less, and they must fit into your single quart-sized toiletries bag alongside everything else. Many pain relief and arthritis products come in tubes that are significantly larger than 3.4 ounces. The standard diclofenac gel tube is often 100 grams or more. If that's what you packed, it will be confiscated at the checkpoint. The fix is to transfer your gels into travel-size containers before you leave home. You can buy TSA-compliant empty containers at any pharmacy, and most are inexpensive. Your gel goes in, it goes in your quart bag, the quart bag comes out of your carry-on at the checkpoint, and it goes in the bin. Exactly like your shampoo, exactly like your toothpaste, that's all it takes. Now, there is an important exception that I want to make sure you know. If your gel product is a prescription medication, prescription diclofenac gel, for example, or prescription lidocaine, it is exempt from the 311 rule, just like your prescription liquid medications. You separate it from your toiletry bag, you hold it up at the checkpoint, and you tell the agent it's a prescription. That's the process. But for over-the-counter pain relief gels and arthritis creams, the 3.4-ounce limit applies without exception, and TSA enforces it. I want to pause here for a moment, because what I'm about to tell you about mistake number 6 is something that most travelers don't realize until they are standing in line, and by then, there is genuinely nothing they can do about it. This one catches people off guard, because it doesn't feel like a packing mistake, but the clothing choices you make on travel day can add 15, 20, even 30 extra minutes to your checkpoint experience. And for travelers with joint pain, arthritis, or any mobility limitation, standing at a security station for an extra half hour is not just inconvenient, it's genuinely painful and exhausting. Let me walk through the specific clothing choices that cause the most friction for travelers over 60. The first and most common is metal-reinforced orthopedic footwear. Many therapeutic shoes, orthopedic inserts, and medically prescribed footwear contain metal shank plates or arch supports. Those will trigger the body scanner alarm. If you wear them, tell the officer before you go through. You may be offered the option of a targeted pat-down of your footwear rather than a full shoe removal, which matters enormously if removing your shoes creates balance or mobility challenges for you. Ask for that option. They are permitted to accommodate it. The second clothing issue that affects female travelers over 60 disproportionately is underwire brass. Underwire frequently triggers the body scanner alarm at the chest area, leading to a pat-down that many women find unexpectedly intrusive. You are not required to remove your bra, but if you know you're wearing underwire, mentally prepare for the possibility of a brief pat-down in that area, and know that you can request that a female officer conduct it. That is your right, and you can exercise it without any hesitation. Third is compression garments, back braces, knee braces, and abdominal supports with metal components. Many medical-grade compression products contain metal boning or metal stays. The rule here is the same as with implanted devices: disclose it proactively. You don't need to remove the garment, you need to mention it before you go through, so the agent knows what they're seeing. And fourth, which I'll mention briefly because I've seen it slow lines down more times than I can count, excessive jewelry. If you're wearing 7 rings, a watch, 2 bracelets, a necklace, and earrings on travel day, put all of it in a small pouch in your carry-on before you leave the house. Place the pouch in a bin at the checkpoint. You will get your jewelry back immediately after screening, and you will not be the person standing at the bins trying to take off accessories while 30 people wait behind you. Your time and everyone else's is worth that one small habit change. This is one of the most well-intentioned mistakes on this entire list. And it's also one of the more potentially serious ones, so I want to address it clearly. When families travel together, adult children, grandchildren, spouses, the most organized person in the group very often becomes the medication manager, and that frequently means a grandparent or older traveler ends up carrying not just their own medications, but a husband's blood pressure pills, a grandchild's allergy prescription, or an adult child's anxiety medication. It is done with the best of intentions, and it creates a problem at the checkpoint. TSA screening of medications is fundamentally about identification. If an agent questions a medication in your bag and that medication is not prescribed to you, you're now in a conversation where you need to explain someone else's private medical information. In most situations, this resolves without major incident, but in situations involving controlled substances, like certain sleep medications, certain pain medications, certain anxiety prescriptions, it can become a genuinely serious issue. The consistent, safe rule is this: each person carries their own medications. If a travel companion truly cannot manage their own medications and you must carry them, have a signed letter from their prescribing physician on hand that identifies the patient, the medications, and the reason for your carrying them. Getting that letter takes one phone call to the doctor's office. It is the difference between a 10-second explanation and a 45-minute delay. This one comes directly from the research I did preparing this video, and the numbers behind it are genuinely striking. One of the highest performing videos in the airport security space in the last year, reaching well over 200,000 views, identified Tangled, disorganized electronics packing, as one of the top 5 reasons carry-on bags get flagged for secondary screening. And here is why this is especially relevant for travelers over 60. Many seniors travel with significantly more electronic equipment than the average traveler. Phone chargers, tablet chargers, hearing aid charging cases, CPAP chargers, and equipment cables, blood pressure monitors, blood glucose monitors, and portable power banks. When all of that is loose and tangled in a carry-on bag, the X-ray image becomes what agents describe as a bird's nest, an incomprehensible web of wires and shapes that they cannot read clearly. They cannot see through it, they cannot confirm what's underneath it, so they stop the belt and they pull the bag. The fix is laughably simple, and I want to be honest with you that it costs about $3. Cable organizers, small zippered fabric pouches that you can find at any pharmacy, Walmart, Target, or dollar store, are the entire solution. You put every cord, every cable, every charger into those pouches, neatly coiled. When you pack them into your carry-on, they sit flat and organized. The X-ray image is clean and legible. The agent sees exactly what's there. You move through without a second glance. Now, we are getting into the mistakes that truly separate the experienced senior traveler from everyone else. And I want to warn you that mistakes 9 and 10 are ones that the vast majority of Americans over 60 are making right now, without any idea that they're doing it. So, stay with me. This one has become dramatically more relevant in the last 2 years. And I want to be very specific because the rules here have real teeth. If you travel with any battery-powered device like a portable heating pad, a portable TENS unit, a portable massager, a portable blood pressure monitor, you need to understand the FAA lithium battery rules because TSA enforces them at every checkpoint. The core rule is this: spare lithium batteries, meaning any battery that is not currently installed and functioning inside a device, must travel in your carry-on, not your checked luggage. They cannot go in the cargo hold. They must be individually protected to prevent short circuits, which means they should be in their original packaging, in a hard battery case, or with their terminals covered with tape. Exposed terminals on a loose lithium battery are a fire hazard, and TSA takes that extremely seriously. The mistake most seniors make is one of two things. Either they pack spare batteries in their checked luggage without knowing the rule, or, increasingly common, they travel with battery-powered comfort devices and don't realize that the battery in those devices has a special classification at all. If an agent spots a spare lithium battery pack in the wrong bag during screening, everything stops until it's addressed. Keep all spare lithium battery packs in your carry-on, keep them in their original packaging or a protective case. If you're traveling with a device that has a removable battery, check the manufacturer's guidance on whether to remove it for travel. A few minutes of preparation at home eliminates this problem entirely. Let me be clear up front. You are absolutely allowed to bring food through TSA. This is not about prohibitions. This is about certain food items creating scanner images that are dense, opaque, and difficult to read, and which therefore trigger secondary checks that add time and friction to your travel day. And for travelers over 60 who frequently pack snacks, health-specific foods, or homemade meals because of dietary needs, this matters more than most travel content acknowledges. The items that cause the most issues are spreads and condiments of gel-like or liquid consistency. Peanut butter is the most common example, and it is one of the most consistently misunderstood items in the TSA world. Peanut butter is classified as a liquid by TSA, specifically as a gel, meaning that in your carry-on, it falls under the 3.4-ounce restriction. Many travelers over 60 pack a full-size jar of peanut butter for the protein, for the ease of a quick snack, for the familiarity. TSA will confiscate it if the container exceeds 3.4 ounces. The same applies to hummus, yogurt, jam, honey, any cream cheese or soft cheese, salad dressing, and any dip or spread of similar consistency. If you want to bring these in your carry-on, they go in your quart toiletries bag and they are subject to the same size limit as your shampoo. If you want to bring a larger quantity, for a long trip, for dietary reasons, pack them in your checked luggage. Homemade sandwiches, hard-boiled eggs, fruit, crackers, and packaged snacks are all fine. A pressure-sealed container of home-cooked food will occasionally trigger a secondary check because it reads as a dense block on the scanner, but it is not prohibited. If that happens to you, know that you can request a manual inspection rather than having an agent dig through your food. You are allowed to ask for that, and agents are permitted to honor it. If you travel with protein powder, collagen powder, greens powder, electrolyte powder, creatine, or any health supplement in powder form, and a large percentage of health-conscious travelers over 60 do, you need to know this rule, because enforcement has tightened significantly in the last 2 years. Any powder in your carry-on that is over 12 ounces in volume, roughly the size of a typical protein powder serving container, may be subject to additional screening by agents are authorized to remove powder containers from your bag and place them in a separate bin. They may open them and perform a field test, and if the powder is in an unmarked bag or a Ziploc bag with no identification whatsoever, the process takes longer and the interaction is more involved. The fix is simple. Keep your powders in their original labeled containers whenever possible. The label tells the agent immediately what they're looking at. If you've transferred powder into a smaller container for travel convenience, which many people do, label that container. A small piece of masking tape with the product name takes 30 seconds to apply. And if you're traveling with more than 12 ounces of any powder, seriously consider packing the bulk amount in your checked luggage and carrying only 1 or 2 servings in your carry-on. That keeps you well under the threshold where additional screening kicks in. This is the one I've been building toward, and I need you to really hear it, because this might be the most actionable, most underused, most impactful piece of information I have ever shared on this channel. TSA Cares is a free passenger support service operated by the Transportation Security Administration. The phone number is 855-787-2227. You can call that number 72 hours before your flight. That means 3 days before you travel, and speak with a live agent who will note everything relevant about your upcoming trip in the system. Your implanted medical devices, your medical equipment, your mobility limitations. If this is your first time flying, if you have anxiety about the process, if you have a chronic condition that makes certain types of screening physically uncomfortable, you tell them, and they record it. And here's what TSA does with that information. They can arrange for a passenger support specialist to meet you personally at the security checkpoint. Not a regular TSA agent, a specialist. Someone whose specific job within TSA is to walk travelers with medical needs or accessibility concerns through the screening process step by step, explaining what will happen before it happens, giving you time to move at your own pace, and making sure the experience is dignified, calm, and clear. This service is completely free. It is available at airports across the country, and the overwhelming majority of Americans over 60 have never once been told it exists. Write this number down right now, or screenshot this frame of the video. 855-787-2227, TSA Cares. Call it 72 hours before your next flight. I am not exaggerating when I tell you it can transform what feels like the most stressful part of your travel day into something genuinely manageable. So let's run through what we covered today, because I want you to leave this video with something concrete. Before your next flight, go through this mentally. Your medications, are they labeled? Are the liquid ones declared separately? Is your pill organizer paired with original bottles or a medication list? Your medical equipment, is your CPAP coming out of its bag at the checkpoint? Have you disclosed your implanted devices? Are your lithium batteries in your carry-on and in their cases? Your clothing? Are you wearing metal-reinforced footwear? Are you carrying significant metal? Do you have a compression garment with metal components you need to mention? Your food and powders, are your gel consistency spreads in your quart bag and under 3.4 ounces? Are your supplement powders labeled and under 12 ounces in the carry-on? Your ID? Does your driver's license have the real ID star, or do you have your passport ready? And TSA Cares, do you have 855-787-2227 saved? Have you made that call? Flying in 2026 as an American over 60 is manageable. It is completely manageable, but it requires being more informed than the average traveler because the rules are more specific than they've ever been. The scanning technology is more sensitive than it's ever been, and the expectations at the checkpoint are higher than they were even 5 years ago. You deserve to walk through that checkpoint knowing exactly what to do. That is what this channel is for. That is why I do this. If one of these 13 mistakes surprised you, tell me which one in the comments below. I read every single comment personally, and I respond to as many as I possibly can. Your questions help me know what to cover next, and this community has made every one of these videos better. If you're not subscribed yet, please do that right now. The button is right there. I am here every week with new content built specifically for Americans over 60 who want to travel with confidence. I'll see you in the next one.